Hello guys, thanks for joining me again. And now if you remember last week we left it at, we went through chapter 2 where pretty much Ruth started working for Boaz. Now chapter 3, let me warn you, we'll go through it in a minute, but you might think it's controversial, it's a bit risque, it's a bit spicy, but be mindful of when it is written and the time that this is set. So our modern day thinking, we'd get one perception of things, but if you think back to the culture and at the time and the way they did things back then would be different, and that gives you a different perception of it. Okay, so we start at chapter 3, whereby Naomi's found faith through Ruth. And she realises one day that as a mother-in-law, I need to find you a home, I need to find you a suitable partner. And so basically she says to Ruth, "My daughter, should I not try to find you a home for you where you will be well provided for? Is not Boaz, with whose servant girls you have been, a kinsman of ours? So tonight he will be winnowing barley on the threshing floor." Let me just explain winnowing barley on the threshing floor. It basically, it's set, it's on a hard floor, and it's normally on a hill where the wind blows. And winnowing barley is basically where you got the grain, you pick up the grain with all the chaff and all the rubbish with it. Okay, you throw it up, and the wind blows, and it blows away the chaff and the rubbish, which is lighter than the grain, and the grain lands on the floor. The good stuff lands on the floor, and that's basically what they keep. And it's one of those things that they work hard for, and at the end of the day they've got the piles of grain, and then they finish the day by celebrating, eating and drinking, and then they go to sleep by the piles of grain, because there's a risk of it being stolen or theft and things like that. So that's pretty much what they do. And normally at the harvest, when they celebrate at the end of the day, you don't normally get women there. It's just the workers that are celebrating basically what they've done in the day. So Naomi says to Ruth, "Tonight he'll be winnowing barley on the threshing floor. Wash and perfume yourself and put on your best clothes. Then go down to the threshing floor, but don't let him know you are there until he has finished eating and drinking. And when he lies down, note the place where he is lying. Then go and uncover his feet and lie down. He will tell you what to do." So Ruth is respectful to Naomi and says, "I will do whatever you say." So she went down to the threshing floor and did everything her mother-in-law told her to do. When Boaz had finished eating and drinking and he was in good spirits, he went over to lie down at the far end of the grain. Ruth approached quietly and covered his feet and lay down. Okay, so you think, well, that's a bit risky, isn't it? She's gone there, a woman on her own, where women don't normally go in the middle of the night. You think, whoa, what's that all about? But in the middle of the night, something startled Boaz, and he turned and saw Ruth lying at his feet. He didn't know it was Ruth. So he asked, "Who are you?" "I am your servant Ruth," she said. "Spread the corner of your garment over me, since you are a kinsman redeemer." And again you think, whoa, spread your garment over me. You think all sorts of things. But if you look back in those times, although she got ready, the word says she was instructed to prepare herself like a bride, okay, and to go somewhere where women don't normally go. And the thing about uncovering his feet and lying down, although Naomi's instructions may appear forward, the moral integrity of Naomi and Ruth is never in doubt. Naomi's advice to Ruth is clearly for the purposes of appealing to Boaz's obligation as a kinsman, and Ruth's actions were a request for marriage. So There's no ulterior motive. It's just to simply say, it's a request for marriage. I'm here, I'm your servant girl. You said you'd look after us. I'm here if you want to marry me. And the thing about spreading the corner of your garment over me, again, you think all sorts of things. It's again a symbolism back then as a request for marriage, and there's similar customs practiced in some parts of the Middle East today. Okay? So, Ruth replied to Boaz, I am your servant Ruth. And Boaz is still startled at the time, says, the Lord bless you, my daughter, he replied. The kindness is greater than which you showed earlier. You have not run after the younger man or younger men, whether rich or poor. So basically he's kind of honoured that he's a little bit older and she's still kind of interested in him. So he tells her, now my daughter, don't be afraid. I will do for you all you ask. All my fellow townsmen know that you are a woman of noble character. And although it is true that I am near of kin, Boaz knew of somebody else. There is a kinsman redeemer nearer than I. And so he didn't want to shatter her reputation because she's come in the middle of the night. So he tells her, stay here for the night, and in the morning, if this other person, the other kinsman redeemer, is interested, and if he wants to redeem you, if he wants to marry you, then let him do that. But if he's not willing, as surely as the Lord lives, I will do it. So he tells her to lie there until the morning. So she lays there until the morning, but she got up before anyone could be recognised, and he said, don't let it be known that a woman came to the threshing floor, because it's one of those things that didn't happen then. So he wanted to protect her reputation. She was a woman of noble character, as was he. He was a noble character. And he didn't want to let her go empty-handed. He still felt his duty. So basically he said to her, bring me a shawl and I'll hold it out. And he put 6 measures of barley, and she took it back with her and obviously gave it to her mother-in-law. Naomi rightly asked, how did it go? Ruth told her everything. Okay? And basically Naomi said, well, wait, my daughter, until you find out what happens, for the man will not rest until the matter is settled today. So this story, when you first read it, you think, it's a bit dodgy, isn't it? It's a bit risky. She dresses up and goes and sees him in the middle of the night. But it actually isn't. And it's a way of her basically saying, I'm here if you want to marry me. And it shows as well that Boaz continues to do the right thing. He still does things the right way. He might have feelings for Ruth. He might want to marry her, but however, he knows someone who's a kind of a closer relative, kinsman redeemer, than he is, and he wants to do things properly. So he wants to ask this other person if he would like to marry Ruth and take over that responsibility and that role. So this tells me, this short study tells me that even when don't think or see straight away, you think, oh, something is not right, it's a bit awkward, it's a bit dodgy. You've got to think of it in the context it's written. And throughout all of this, it's about integrity. It's about integrity. And Boaz keeps his integrity, he does the right thing, even though possibly there might have been a temptation in front of him, but he still does things the right way. And same with Ruth, she keeps her reputation intact. She's got a fantastic reputation, and she doesn't want to ruin it, and nor does Boaz. So one thing you take from this is do the right thing and have your integrity. And next week we shall see It's the last chapter. Dun, dun, dun. Will Ruth marry Boaz, or will she marry the other kinsman redeemer? So join me next week for the final chapter.